What is push factor? And is that encouraging teachers to use IT to perform their tasks. This is what we call push factor. And then what is the pull factor? Is discouraging factors. So that is quite simple. I mean, in this, in the analysis, okay, we strengthen this, reduce this, done. And then this cause this. So this is what they see the problems in the final, that is not the final, the reason document. Okay, let's go into the other thing. How they reflect their understanding in the document, what is ICT in education? Now, in the first and the third document, they have a particular section and title and subtitle called What is ICT in Education? Now, if you look at the first document very focused, they don't have a kind of definition anyway. In the first document, just show, okay, look, it's very, different interpretation, different, thinking. But then they just show some examples of using ICT in the first document. All right. So this is more like that there's two types of definition according to Aristotle. Aristotle, there is the second one is just use example. You don't need a definition, but they use an example. They use some examples in the Annex A. But in the second document, they link the idea of ICT in education to innovative pedagogies, change, education reform, and other things. But the third one, if you look at that, they have a pedagogy, they have a paragraph. They talk about ICT in education is often used loosely to refer the You have A, B, C. Now, our understanding, this is not exactly a definition. It's more like a will, and then they want to do, rather than a definition of what is ICT in education. But anyway, but then it shows that the idea that they want to do increase efficiency, enhancing information literacy, and also improve students' learning outcomes. So this is more like a hope or wish anyway. Okay, let's look at the vision. There's three different kinds of vision reflected in this three document. The first, they're more looking that they want to ride on the type of rapid changes. They have a vision of paradigm shift. Of course, later on we'll talk about what really happened and how they interpret, and then how this kind of paradigm should be implemented. This is another issue. But this is a clear vision in the first document. In the second document, the vision is quite clear. They want to use IT effectively, and then pointing to the idea of information age, because they want to turn schools into dynamic, interactive learning institution. So that is, they talk about collaborative learning, parents, and blah, blah, blah. Okay. In the third one, I read all these three documents. I couldn't find the word vision in the third document. It's a miss, and then I tried to find it and read it, word by word. I couldn't find the word vision in the third document, but here I just got something. This is not under the statement called we have the vision this, but rather that they just have very strict sense that this is a statement, this is what they do. We suggest that the key to the success of taking IT in education forward is to enable teachers. That's it. But not linked to the idea of whether this is a vision. Well, perhaps I may be wrong, but then I try to think, okay, perhaps this is more like a vision-like statement, but not exactly a vision be stated in the third document. After that, let us look at the policy goals. It is quite interesting. The three documents use three different terms to describe policy goals. The first one, they use the word called mission. The second one, they call goals. Yes. The third one, they call action. So then in the first document, they have 4 missions and change it to 7 goals in the overall, and then they have 6 actions in the last, document. Now here, because I'm an English teacher, I'm not going to talk about the meaning of mission, goal, and vision. Here's the dictionary. You can see the difference between what is a mission, what is a goal, what is an action. Right. Okay, let's compare these three. Now I try to do a comparison. I think they are more or less, they have similar area. If you look at the first document, the four missions are quite clear. The first is about infrastructure, access, and connectivity. The second one about teacher enablement. They use the exact term called teacher enablement. The third one is curriculum and resource support. And then the fourth one is community-wide culture. Now, more or less, in the second and the third, they are more similar to these four areas. But I just wanted to highlight there will be changes, in particular in the terms and the concepts in red color. Under the access and connectivity, in the second document, you will find goal number 5 or goal number 1. They talk about that, but they're more linked to pedagogy and information literacy. All right? They not just talk about connectivity or infrastructure, but link this to pedagogy. In the second area, they focus on, in goal number 2, then they focus on pedagogical innovation, curriculum reform, and also they expect teachers to take action-oriented research. This is stated in the document. And also, the other is quite similar, but then in the second document, they have goal 3 and 6 is totally different from the first document. They talk about enhancing school leadership. They talk about research and development. Okay, so this is the second policy. Now, in the third policy, it's more like a continuation to reiterate these 4 areas, the importance of these 4 areas. Now, if you look at that, but not many changes. If looking at the first 1, 2, 3 area, it almost a kind of repeats of the first document, looking at enable to maintain the ICT infrastructure and that sort of things. But then one particular change is that they more focus on parents, because in the third document they talk about the action 6. They talk about raising the information literacy of parents, not just students but rather parents. And also in the school part, they try to enforce the school-based IT and education development plan. So this is but I think that will be different from the emphasis of school leadership. We will discuss this later on. And then they have nothing to do about research and development in the third document. I don't want to read this because you have you all right, yeah. Yes. But I think not just Alice, I think ourselves, we should, that's the cat over there. Yeah. We need direction anyway. But what's it? So that's why we turn to the next 10 years. That is what we're going to do. So that give hand of the time to